Mr. Hammond. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Mableton City Council meeting. Today is September 25th, 2024. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is currently 18:35. With that being said, I want to make a couple of just comments from the beginning. You'll notice that we have a couple of people who are not here. Our City Clerk is ill and not attending the meeting today, as well as my Executive Assistant, Lily Smith, who's also ill, not able to be with us today either. And our attorney will be here in just a couple of minutes. But we do have Ms. Allison Benson, who is going to be assisting us this evening as we work through from an administrative standpoint. So with that said, Ms. Benson, would you mind calling the roll?
Hello? It's on now? Okay. Yes, sir. Mayor Michael Owens?
Present.
Councilmember Ron Davis, District 1.
Present.
Councilmember Dami Oladapo, District 2.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Keisha Jeffcoat, District 3.
Present.
Councilmember Patricia Auk, District 4.
Present.
Councilmember TJ Ferguson, District 5.
Present.
Councilmember Deborah Herndon, District 6.
Present.
All present, and we have quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. With that being said, Councilman Davis, would you mind leading us in invocation, please, sir?
Let us bow. Oh, gracious and high God, we thank you, Father, for your grace, your mercy, Father God, your continuing grace and mercy, Father God. Each and every day you give us those things anew. Now, Father, right now, we just pray that your mighty hand reach down and be among this gathering, Father God, among this council, among these residents, among these stakeholders, Father God, that we will work together in unity, Father, in excellence, Father, in integrity, Father, keeping you always in the back of our mind and the forefront of our mind, Father, that you are the Almighty. You control all things. And, Father, let us walk as you would have us to walk. Let us develop this city as you would have us to develop it, Father. Keep us in every way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilman. I will now proceed to the Pledge of Allegiance. Mayor Pro Tem, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Please stand if you can.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Welcome, Madam Attorney. Yeah, they've moved things around just a little bit. This takes us to item 4, which is the approval of agenda. Council, you've been provided a copy of the agenda prior to the meeting. I would like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second. Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of approval of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no nays, we can approve the agenda and move forward with the agenda of the evening. So this takes us to item 6, which is our presentations, acknowledgements, and proclamations. I don't think we have any specific acknowledgements or proclamations, but we do have a presentation. And as time would have it, we actually have some friends with us from Georgia Power. We have Brett Fleck, the regional executive, David Williams, district manager, and my good friend Al here. So thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it. I know there are 1,001 things you could be doing right now, or may need to be doing right now with this impending hurricane coming. But thank you all for taking the time to join us today. It is, as we joked, it's very timely, but it's good to have you guys here. Georgia Power, obviously, we view as a partner with the city of Mableton. There's mutual relationships that go, and lots of customers that you have that are our residents. So it's we want to ensure that you feel welcome here, and that we continue to partner with staff, with our council. And so please, at this point in time, I don't know if Brett, if you're going to go, or who's going to lead? Please, the floor is yours, ma'am. Is there a slide deck?
There is, and I believe it's loaded, is that right?
Mayor Owens, City Council members, and Bill Tanks, thank you so much for having us here and for the invitation to come and present today. So as Mayor Owens said, I'm Brett Fleck. I'm the Metro West Region Executive. So that is responsibility for 6 counties, with Cobb County, of course, being one of those. Along with me is Al Martin. He is the area manager for Cobb County, and then David Williams is our distribution manager. He is also responsible for all of the storm preparation that occurs, and he's going to talk about that, but he is responsible for all 6 counties as well. So he's got a whole staff underneath him, and there's been tremendous planning underway. So thank you for having us. When we planned this, we did not know we were going to be dealing with a hurricane, as you said, so it is very timely. I want to pass it to Al for a few minutes to talk about the partnership and some of the services and resources that we have available. And in fact, coming up next week, there's a meeting to discuss some of these items. So Al, I'll pass it to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us tonight. And I just wanted to say how pleased we are about the new partnership with City of Mableton. And we're looking forward to connecting your team with the services and that we offer, not the least of which is our Economic Development Department. We offer complimentary, which is free services to cities and our customers. We have a host of engineers and research analysts that can provide market studies. We do 3D renderings of potential sites in your area, custom mapping, and a whole host of customer reporting. And all of that is free of charge, something we offer to all of our partners across the state of Georgia. Bill Tanks and I have a meeting next week with Ashley West, who is our economic development contact, and that'll be a good contact for the city to pick up when Ashley will make available those types of services to the city as we move forward. Really looking forward to working with the city coming ahead. I'm your contact should you need anything, so thank you. And I'll turn it over to David Williams for the good part of the presentation about storm preparation. Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you for, I got to remember to stand behind the mic. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight and to share with you a little bit about how we prepare for storms. Little did we know that we would be in the middle of storm preparation when we showed up tonight. So as we go, I'll try to point out kind of where we are in this process as it pertains to the current event that we're all looking forward to. As I talk, and I'm not going to be too lengthy, but we're going to talk about a little bit about what we do before a storm and in preparation long before to a storm. We have a whole group that is always preparing for events like we are about to experience to take place in the state. And we are, long before a storm happens, we identify roles and responsibilities of all the local personnel so that we know when a storm occurs that we know what our part is going to be in that event. If there is training that is required, we make sure that's taken care of on a yearly basis. And then we are always inspecting our equipment and doing a logistics review. Part of a logistics review is identifying locations where we could stage trucks if we need to. And we're certainly preparing for that with the event that is coming. We maintain a network of contract utility services crews that can come in and assist us as they are needed. And so those contracts are maintained long before they're needed to be executed. We work with GEMA, DOT, local emergency management agencies in many ways, but one of those ways is down on the coastal part of Georgia is the evacuation and reentry plans. And that's not a thing here in this area, but it is something that GEMA is responsible for in coastal area. So pre-planning is always occurring. And then we also have relationships with weather service providers so that we can get meteorological data 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and get it specific to what our needs are. You can see kind of at the bottom of the screen, there's some wind profiles there. That's particularly important for us because the wind's what impacts the trees, what are going to impact the power line. So that picture to the right of your screen is not the current event. I believe that's Hurricane Idalia, which was last summer in August. So as we get during a storm, once a storm has taken place, the first thing that we're going to do is send crews out to assess the damage that has occurred, to ride our lines. We know where the power's out. Using the data that's available to us from our system, we know where the power's out, but we don't always know what caused it to be out. So we'll send crews out to assess the damage, to see what has caused the outage, so that we can send the personnel to those areas that will make the repairs. So they report back their findings, and it could be, like in this case, broken poles, wires down, environmental conditions that need to be cleaned up. Whatever the need is, we will send teams of crew personnel to those locations to get the power restored. We bring in, during a storm, resources from multiple areas. Of course, there is the internal Georgia Power crews that work in the area every day, but we also have sister companies at Alabama Power and Mississippi Power that we partner with. A couple of weeks ago, we took a group from this area over to Alabama to respond to a storm, and we will have folks from Mississippi Power coming to help us in response to the storm event that we're currently in. And then if we also have, I mentioned the contractors already, but a wide network of contract resources that are available to us, and then partnerships with the Southeastern Electric Exchange and Edison Electric Institute, provide a mutual assistance from other utility companies up the eastern coast and as far away as Texas that we can call on, that we have relationships with, that we go when they have needs, they come when we have needs. Just a little overview of that. This is a map that shows where some of those locations are, that we have relationships with those companies through the Southeastern Electric Exchange. Logistics is a big part of our storm restoration plan. It takes a lot of effort to move the crews around to where they need to be to do the work, to feed and house the personnel that are out restoring electric service is a massive undertaking. We bring in a large number of people, get a lot of work done in a short amount of time, but during that time you've got to have somewhere for them to sleep and something for them to eat, and that takes a lot of effort. A lot of planning goes into that throughout the year, so that we have relationships with caterers, we have relationships with companies that can come in and set up what we might call a tent city, so that there are beds there in either sleeper trailers or tents for our linemen to sleep in. And we want it to be as comfortable as possible, and so a lot of work goes into that throughout the year. Locally, just to give you a little feel for the local response effort, we have offices in this general area in Canton, Austell, and Smyrna. Those offices contain engineering personnel, support team members, and then line crew members, and that's those that are out doing construction, and then those who on a daily basis responds to trouble. It's not just during a storm, unfortunately, that people's power goes out, and it can happen for many reasons. A car can hit a pole, and we've got to respond to that on a daily basis. So we have dedicated trouble response resources in this area stationed in Smyrna and Austell that specifically would respond to the city of Mableton. Locally, if we do have a big event and need to stage crews from outside the area, we have relationships with Six Flags, Arbor Place Mall, Hawthorne Plaza, where we can use in the area of Mableton for staging crews. Also, during a storm, customer engagement's important. We want our customers to be aware of what's going on and what they can expect from Georgia Power during a storm event. So customer engagement also kind of happens before a storm takes place, during a storm, and then following a storm. Leading up to a storm, you're going to see some social media posts and maybe some posts in other media sources about what to do during a storm event and what not to touch when you go outside, what to expect if your power's off, that kind of thing, how to notify us if you are without power. And so we're going to try to communicate early with our customers about what to expect, and then during a storm, we'll also communicate what to expect, and that's going to go out through those same media sources. And we're also going to communicate an estimated restoration times during a storm. We put a lot of effort into notifying our customers of when we think we're going to get their power back on. We aren't perfect, but we do put effort into letting you know if your power's out, when you can expect to have your service restored. And then following a storm, you may see something in some media publications and social media that would tell our story, tell you a little bit about what occurred and how many customers we restored, what the timeline was for that restoration. It's also a way to recognize the good work of our employees and recognize the efforts that they put into restoring our customer service. Kind of give you a feel for a couple of recent events, or more recent events. This is Hurricane Idalia, I think. Yep, the first one was. This was last August, right before Labor Day is when this storm impacted the state. 290,000 customers were out during that event. We had 95% of those restored within 72 hours. Massive effort, over 5,000 resources were brought into the state to engage in that restoration effort. It impacted the areas that you see on the screen, kind of in the southern part of the state, especially the southeastern portion of the state. Crews from all over Georgia responded and went down there to help restore service. Crews from this area left their family and went down there and stayed for a few days to help restore service to the customers in the southern part of the state. Just recently, we had Hurricane Beryl and Debbie that came through. Not as widespread of an impact, but 150,000 customers out during that, what became known as Little Debbie, right? But 150,000 customers out at one point or the other, and within 2 days, over 99% of those customers had been restored. Brought in about 1,750 resources into the state to help with the restoration efforts following that storm. So that's a little bit, give you a feel for what we might expect in an event that we're facing over the next couple of days. I can tell you that we have brought in, I already mentioned Mississippi Power, we have brought in other contract resources from outside the state, and they are arriving today and will be arriving tomorrow to stage and be ready to respond. We expect this to be a statewide event, as we all can see on the news, and so we are staging those crews all over the state so that whether it impacts, we expect it to impact Valdosta, right? We expect it to impact that part of the state. We also expect it to impact Metro Atlanta. And so we've staged crews all over the state so that they can respond wherever the need is. I think that's all. So I'll be glad to answer any specific questions you have related to Georgia Power's restoration efforts.
Yes, well, first I'd like to say thank you for the great job you guys always do in restoring power. I remember the flood of 2009, and that was quite a disaster, but you guys were really on it, and I just want to first commend you on that. Secondly, I do have a question. It might sound kind of like a silly question, but I remember that so well, and happened to have the opportunity to kind of go around the area with the then state representative and saw a lot of the devastation. I'm wondering, though, when events like this happen, do you have kind of a prioritization based on maybe likelihoods, things like flooding and that kind of thing? And since that flood has that, or since these other disasters, has that changed any? Because one thing I did notice when we did make the tour, there were some areas that seemed really prone to things like flooding, wind damage from trees falling and that kind of thing.
If I understand your question correctly, you're asking if we place a priority on restoration during an event, or?
No, not probably on restoration, but just when you look at areas and you see maybe, do you see that there's maybe areas that are more prone to damage than others? So that, because you said that you had trucks kind of spread out.
Sure.
Yes, which is a good thing. So I'm just wondering, based on some of your experience, maybe you see areas that may have more of a tendency to be flooded, or maybe have more tree damage and that kind of thing. So you kind of, as a kind of way of, I'll say, preventive maintenance, I'll put it like that.
Right.
Just be on the lookout and say, we'll look at these areas. We're not going to neglect any areas, but we'll kind of look at these areas specifically because they have more of a tendency to sustain more damage.
Sure. So a flooding situation, especially like 2009, certainly is different and is not something that we expect to happen very often, right? But for wind events, we are always looking at our system. Trees are the major source of damage during a wind event. So we are always monitoring our system to see that our trimming cycle matches what we are noticing from an outage perspective. We have a vegetation management team that is responsible for keeping all of our lines trimmed. But locally, we impact where they trim based on what we know about how those lines perform during wind events. So, yes, sir, we do make decisions on a day-to-day basis about how we maintain the system based on our experience with storm events.
Thank you.
So my question is more about the Southeastern Electric Exchange.
Yes, sir.
And I don't seem to notice, besides, and I can't read, put my glasses on. So Southern Company is the only kind of what I know to be a Georgia-based company on this list. So then, as with our city, the way that it's set up with multiple power sources coming in, how do you work with those other groups? Like a great example is on Clay Road, a road that there was a tree that was on the power line for several months and had no idea who to really call, who to reach out to, whose jurisdiction, who that really was. And then, one day we finally figured it out, or somebody figured it out, and it got taken care of. But I know that you guys have an app that is for your customers and that sort of thing, but how do you reach in with the other power sources around in our city?
Right. So if you ever have a question about whether or not it's Georgia Power or not, Al's your guy.
Oh, I know I can call Al, but I don't think we want to give everybody Al's number.
He can help. He can get with us. We can give you whatever specific information you need about that specific issue. As it relates to the other, either municipalities that have their own electric service or EMCs, which is probably most, if it's not Georgia Power, it's probably an EMC in this area, Cobb EMC specifically, or Greystone. So we have relationships with them, and we work with them kind of on a day-to-day basis. We share poles in some places where they are on top and we're on bottom, or vice versa. So we work with them regularly to overcome issues with the system. In a storm event, they have their own network of electric membership corporations, and they support each other during a storm event.
Okay, so the second part of that is, how do they know I mean, obviously you know who your power company is. My question is, as Joe Citizen who drives around and sees this issue right here, how do I know how to dig into that?
If you see an issue with a power line, you can report it to Georgia Power, and if it's not us, we'll get it to the right person.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions, comments? No? I actually, do you have one, Councilwoman?
No, I'm just going to thank them.
Sure. I do have one. It's not related to the storm, to the hurricane, or preparedness around it. So I can largely take this offline, but I do want to, when we talk about partnerships with Georgia Power, I am very interested in the home weatherization program that Georgia Power offers, being able to assist low-income homeowners in ways that Georgia Power can help lower their power bills and assist, lowering the need for power, which is a good environmental sustainability thing. So I'm very interested in learning more about that and understanding how, as a city, we can partner to be able to help our residents ensure that they have lower power bills and also more environmentally friendly homes.
Okay. All right. Mayor, thanks for the question. Georgia Power established a few years ago a group called Energy Assistance, and their main role is to help communities get connected with resources, whether that be income qualified resources, or whether we've got the easiest way to answer it is if you go to georgiapower.com/assistance, you will find a web page there that has information about Georgia Power's energy efficiency programs. We have income qualified programs that actually pay for envelope improvements to homes to cut down energy bills. We also have a team that I could connect the city with that can go out and do presentations in the city, and can show up at events and give out information on what's available. We have on that georgiapower.com/assistance page, you can put in, we have a search engine that you can put in your zip code, and it will bring up all the resources, local, state, and federal, that are available to you, not only for energy bill, but for food and housing and other needs. And so it's a great resource to get out through your newsletters to the community and through other venues, because they're there ready to help, and it's a great resource, great network.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that, Alex.
Yeah.
It's something we definitely want to look more into and figure out how we can partner more on that front. Anything else? All right. Thank you all. We definitely do appreciate your time, and thanks for coming. All right, with that being said, we're going to move to item 8, which is the consent agenda. There's 3 items on the consent agenda: the approval of the lease at 1245 Veterans Memorial Highway, which is for our administrative offices, approval of the September 11th, 2024 regular meeting minutes, and the approval of the September 9th, 2024 work session minutes. With that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Thank you. So moved and duly seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it. We'll move forward with that. Item 9 was just public comments. Do we have any public comment cards this evening?
Yes, I have 3 of them.
Wonderful. Can you please proceed?
We will start with Miss Denny Wilson with District 2.
She's just walked out.
Oh, okay. Mr. Michael Murphy with District 4, followed by Mr. Sam Colbreth with District 6.
Thank you.
Sorry, as a reminder, please keep your comments 2 minutes or less.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
It's good to see you all this evening. And like the post office, rain, sleet, snow, rain, won't keep us gathered. I was doing well this evening till my good friend Ron brought up the flood of 2009. Good news is I found out that a ping pong table could float. Bad news is it was in my basement. So that was an experience to remember.
Indeed.
I wanted to bring to the council's attention I'm on the board for Star C, and today was a recognition of their 10-year anniversary. The reason I mention that is that Star C is a nonprofit that is dedicated to affordable housing, combining that with health and education for the residents. A project in Cobb County that exists now on Delk Road, Stratford Ridge. At one time, it was run-down apartments. The nearby elementary school was failing, Brumby. They came in and it did an absolutely 180. And they were successful in getting $2 million in rental relief from the county. They've gotten to date $4 million from the city of Atlanta. They have a way of being able to do things, and I think in the area, their theme, which I think is quite appropriate, was housing is medicine. Stable housing creates healthy communities. And I wanted to point that out to the city because Health and Fitness magazine did a survey of 3,140 counties. And Cobb County, out of that number, is ranked 305. I'm saying that to say that you can get a feeling why people want to come to Cobb County. My most recent column is themed as A Dream Deferred. And I took a line from the poet Langston Hughes when I tried to equate the people who are looking for affordable housing in our community. And we should not let it be like a raisin in the sun and let it come forth. And it's in keeping with that I wanted to mention about the revenue enhancement opportunity, and I just will end by making the suggestion that the council may consider what I call having a pitch day. That is, allow citizens of residents of the city to come forward to you and present revenue enhancement ideas that you could take advantage of. Opportunity knocks, and the door doesn't stay open forever. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we'll have Ms. Denny Wilson, District 2.
Good evening, Denny Wilson, District 2. I came here tonight to speak because I received an email. Somebody forwarded me an email that someone in the community had sent out. And the email was said, Mayor Owens, do you, something about you not taking care of children or something, and I think it was related to the apartment complex on Six Flags. And I was taken aback by it because I know you do care about children because you have children. So what I want to say is there's a serious problem with those apartments on Riverside Drive. But what we have to realize is that problem was not created in a night, and it's not going to be solved in a day. And I don't know what type of relief that you can give them because, as I've stated time and time again, this city is just getting off the ground. You're not even off the ground yet. And you inherited these problems. And I think that each and every person that sits on this council wants a resolution to that problem. But it's just not going to happen overnight. And it's something that, you know, you're going to have to take a long, hard look at. You're probably going to have to make some tough decisions, you know, that are not going to be in favor of everybody, because, again, you're not going to be able to please everybody. But all I'm saying is that I think for the community, you know, And I'm not rushing you guys because I understand, like I said, it wasn't created in a day. It's not going to be solved in a night. I mean, it's going to take some process, and, you know, and you guys have got to continue to get the city together in order to deal with this problem. But I think that, you know, if you just would probably meet with some of the people and talk to them, you know, because you've got like a tsunami coming your way, and you guys got to calm it down. I mean, and it's not just District 1, and it's not just District 2, it's not just District 6. I mean, you know, where most of the apartments are. Right. I mean, you guys operate as one, and you got to come together and try and figure out, you know, a solution, and, you know, and calm this issue down, because this doesn't look good for Mableton. I mean, people, when I travel to different parts of the county, East and West Cobb, you know, I'm hit with, well, what is this I saw on the news about all of these, you know, dilapidated apartments in Mableton? And I don't want to hear that, and I know you guys don't want to hear it. So the only thing I'm saying is that we got to come up with some type of solution where, you know, we can get to the root cause of this and maybe, you know, come up with some type of solution, because it's not going to go away. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
And the last one, Mr. Sam Colberth with District 6.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. So my name, once again, is Sam Colbert III. I'm coming here representing the Austell Community Task Force, which I am currently the chairman. I'm also just one of many very empowered citizens that want to make a change in this community. And just going back to our mission, we're all about identifying and disseminating resources to this community, whether it's around community development, economic development, social justice, amongst and family and youth development, because we know that those are key areas that are in need for a lot of residents within our area. And to just clarify where our area of influence is, it's Cobb County, Commission District 4. So we cover a huge swath, including the city of Mableton. And just wanted to invite everyone out. Thank you, Ms. Ock and Mr. Davis, for attending our current meetings. Want to extend an invitation for any of the City Council to attend our meetings. We meet on the first Monday of every month, which will be October 7th, and we meet at 7 a.m. We make it easy. We meet right up at the South Cobb Recreation Center, and we also have a Zoom option, and just in case you're not able to attend online. And I wanted to make a point about also, we actually are the fiscal agents for one of two neighborhood gardens, which is the Riverside Neighborhood Community Garden. We are actually attached to either side of the South Cobb Recreation Center. We have about 19 raised beds that are in the midst of getting seeds planted and everything, and we meet every Sunday at about 1 o'clock. Work until the work is done. Thank you, Ms. Ock, again, for coming out and consistently coming out and feeding into the garden. But invite you out to that.
I'm sorry, she didn't set the alarm, but your 2 minutes are up.
Say it again?
Your 2 minutes are up.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Colberth. I do believe that was all the comment cards, are correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, we'll close public comment and move forward. And item 11 that we have is the public hearing for the FY 2025 spending plan. So, Mr. Manager, as far as our agenda reads, we have the public hearing, and then after that we have as part of our new business consideration for approval. This being the second reading of the spending plan. Before we open this public hearing, I do want to ask if there is any, well, you know what, let's go by the agenda here. So I'm going to entertain a motion to open the public hearing. The public hearing is going to be 30 minutes long. We'll hear from people who are want to have their voices heard as it relates to this spending plan. So with that said, I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to open the public hearing related to the FY 2025 spending plan.
I make a motion to open the public hearing for FY 2025 spending plan.
I second.
Thank you. All those opposed to open the hearing, say aye. Aye. Oh.
No, what?
Everybody looking crazy. Everybody in favor of opening the public hearing, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We will go ahead and start the public hearing. Where we're going to do this is if you do want to get up and speak to the spending plan, please just line up against the wall. Who's ever first, go ahead and take the mic.
We didn't have anyone sign up for public hearing, but I guess it's open.
The floor is open.
Yep.
If anyone would like to speak to the spending plan, you can approach the podium now. And you please state your name and what district you live in.
Yeah, sure. My name is Nick.
Before we start, we are setting a 3-minute, I think 30 minutes max, but just let you know we are timing it so no one takes up all the time.
Okay. This will be fast. I just saw this as I walked in. My name is Nick DeMundi. I'm in District 4. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. I voted for the City of Mableton. It was contentious in my district, but I'm excited that we're all here. Really quickly, this seemed, as far as city budgets go, pretty conservative, which I respect, that you respect all of our money, so that's really good. There is some line items that I know we'll get more into details as we go along, but specifically, there's a lot of line items for contracted services and consulting. I think just in the name of being responsible with the money that all of us have been entrusted with, having some granularity on that and understanding the who, the what, and the why will go a long way to building trust with the brand new out of the wrapper population of Mableton. And really that's about it. Just that one thing that's on pretty much every single plan detail is contracted services and consulting. Some of the numbers can be big, some of them can be zero. I'd just like to understand a little bit better what that's like. Thanks.
Thank you.
Denny Wilson, District 2. I just have a couple of questions. This executive assistant salary of $83,200, is that for one person or two people? And secondly, I can't remember if it was in the charter or not, but you know, I thought you guys brought to a vote earlier in the year about each one of the council members having their own executive assistant. So I was trying to figure out, is that included in this $83,200, or is that just one person, two people, three people? I like the format. I like what you guys have done, because if we can get this at the county level, I mean, we don't ever get a defined budget like this at the county level, so I like what you guys have done. And that's it. I just wanted to know if that salary is for one person or two people, or, because I mean, if it's $83,200 for one person, I should have applied for that position.
Do we have anyone else? With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Mr. Manager, I'll give you an opportunity if you want to address anything that was made during the public hearing.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I did pass out my card to one of the citizens that want to ask questions. Typically in these positions here, it's not a question and answer because of the set, but we do have this budget available in our office, and I'm available with that contact. I didn't give Ms. Wilson a contact. I think she can call me, but I'll be glad to answer those questions specifically, and I do appreciate the compliment that you all gave. This council does stress, and I mean stress, transparency, and so to put this spending plan out, really it's not even required because we're in transition period, but this council decided they wanted to act as if they were in an actual budget season. And so to share it out here like this, they're following this. And so, Mr. Mayor, what we did with the spending plan and transition, we needed some time to make sure we had some things solid financially, correct projections, looking at least a decent trend. And this is what the basis of this spending plan was. We did a first hearing. This was the second hearing now. And the current 90-day spending plan will expire October 1st. And so being in alignment with carrying ourselves out to the highest level of transparency and trying to keep in rules as if we were out of transition, approval tonight would put us in a spending plan. I'm sorry, my time is up.
That's it. That's it, Mr. Manager.
Sorry, Acting Clerk. No further comments. No, so this will carry us until the rest of this fiscal year, and we will enter a bona fide real budget planning season here early of next year for adoption in July 1st of 2025. So a lot of good work in here based on really feasibility study and spending trends. And like the one citizen did state, we were conservative in overstating expenses, understating revenues, and that should put us on a good footing in tracking. So let's get historical data from this year. We'll be able to continue to build a solid budget. So like that, so I'd like to recommend that the council approve the spending plan as presented.
Thank you for that, Mr. Manager, and I do appreciate you bringing the point back up that we are in a transition period, but this is the second time now we've gone through this budget process. It's a spending plan, but through the budget process, both, I think, for transparency, number one, to let citizens know that we are acting in a fiducial, responsible way, that we are putting guardrails up. But also, I think it was someone here that mentioned when we first did this that it does come with a bit of disclaimer, right? That we know that there's amendments, there's changes, and it's not solely based on the feasibility study, because in the work we've done with Cobb County, we have been able to get some actual historical data that's more recent than the feasibility study. And we also now have almost a year of, or at least a good 8 months of real data from an income perspective, from a revenue perspective. It's still hard to extrapolate what certain department needs will be when we don't have departments stood up yet. So I'm still going to caveat that by saying there will be amendments that we have to have going forward as we start to appoint directors and bring other staff on. We can start to get a much better idea, I think, of what some of the expenditures will be. But I'm in supportive of the spending plan. I think I appreciate the compliments of it. We got compliments last year, I think, when we first put it together. I think it gave us a good start. I do believe that our residents have seen that we have been fiscally responsible, and we've came into this year hiring you as a city manager, giving you a good source of revenue to work with. Also, I think some good bones for some basic ordinances and policies we were able to put in place early on that's been able to take us forward. So I do want to echo the point that the spending plan from October 1st, 2024 through June 30th of 2025 is something I do support, and I would like to see us pass this tonight and be able to move forward. So with that said, Mr. Manager, do you have the spending plan slides? And I think the most effective and efficient way to go about this in council, I'm happy to hear your comments on this, is to really talk about the changes from last reading to this reading. I don't know that we need to go over the entire budget again, but if there are deltas where they are, Mr. Manager, it'd be good if you could point those out, and then the council could ask any corresponding questions.
Yes, sir. Let's see how good my memory is. First, if we go down to Office of the City Manager. Office of the City Manager, give credit to District 6 Councilwoman, Ms. Herndon, who noticed that salaries for City Manager's office seem to be relatively high. And when we investigated that, we found out that we did double state some of our salaries. We took some out of the City Clerk's office and put them in the City Manager's office. It was what we call an Excel calculation error, but that has been corrected. So you do see where it was nearly $200,000 in that office. That is now down to it was $2 million. It is now down to $1,425,726. You also will see in the city manager's budget that the section line item conventions and meetings was 0, which they did not want me to go to any conferences or go learn anything. That was an oversight, so we just made that uniform with all the other departments. And I do state that the city manager's budget is not just for one individual, it's for that office, that function, which I have in that office an economic development director, an administrative assistant, and a special projects manager. So this is the budget for that entire department. There was some discussion on the office of the mayor and the city council's office where we had other costs, miscellaneous. Those numbers were changed because we had the discretionary spending was embedded in other costs, and that discussion was it should be broke out, and so we did break it out here. You'll see that there's a line item now. There's a line item now. Look at that thing works. Discretionary, y'all can't see it, okay? Discretionary spending now, as mentioned by one of our, the $3,000 per council member, the 18, and then for office of the mayor, it has that $5,000 per the charter. So those were changes there. And then we had the overstatement for the city manager's office gave us a $300,000, I believe, or so surplus, and it took our fund balance. Let me go back. Our debt service for our URA bond, we pushed that up. I'm trying to find out where it is. Is that the legal? Oh, legal. Legal was stated at $500,000 for the year. That's what we have estimated. We added an additional $100,000 to external legal. I wonder if this is executive session conversation. We have a contingent fund for some legal challenges to the city. I'll just leave it at that. I guess, Madam Attorney, am I able to talk about what we may be dealing with?
I mean, I wouldn't give specifics, but I mean, you can give the nature of the litigation challenge.
Would you please, Madam Attorney, give the nature?
It's a litigation challenge.
You got your mic on, the people on the line can't hear you.
Yeah, it's the litigation challenging the legality of the city. The city prevailed before the Superior Court, and it's now being challenged on appeal.
Okay, so that's what that extra $100,000 is, being prepared for that. That's Parks and Rec. We moved some money around to accommodate the, I think we did understate the discretionary for council, but I believe there was one other. The contracted services for, and I know one of our citizens asked for that. That really speaks to our comprehensive plan, but we have a little bit more because as you start getting into some of these programs, services, things you need to do without staff, augmenting staff, we are in a position if we need to augment staff. If we get overloaded with building permits and we didn't anticipate the volume, we have a contingent in there to make sure that we can bring in augmented staff to deal with that. And then last but not least, I did state that the revenue annual debt service, we initially had that at $500,000. It is $550,000. We overestimated that. We believe we're still negotiating a rate for our bond. And then our capital spending, is $950,000. I think that didn't change too much, but that may, yes, we did take $50,000 from parks and put it into that legal. So those were the changes I can think of off the top of my head. If I missed any, if anyone sees something, I'd be glad to talk about it.
Thank you for that, council comments.
I do have a question. As far as the packet that's available to the public outside, was there changes from the document within our civic clerk and what is?
I hadn't seen the printed document, and the way you can tell if it's the same document, it would be...
I noticed on the first page, all right, Mr. Mayor, what is going on here? Is this the only number that's different?
Which one?
Is this the correct document?
Yeah, the funding plan, the total funding plan expenditure is 13.9 from what's in the system, and it's 13.4 from the back.
I'm just wondering what was changed since when this packet...
Let me find out where you are, because let's see. Oops. That's the spending plan. That's debt service. Okay,
It's general fund expenditure summary. Should be the, third page.
I'm looking at this from the public view.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on, this might be a Patty error. Hold on.
Okay, this line here? This is the total general operating capital, and then that's the total expenditures, $13,079,000.
Never mind.
And then we had a increase in fund balance.
We're good.
We're good?
It's double-sided. I was looking at the revenue.
Don't tell me Mableton is that conservative. They're going to print on both sides of the paper.
Good. We want,
That's not conservative.
sorry, everyone.
Double-sided print. I'll work on staff on that, Ms. Alk, and tell them we can spend money on paper.
No, we cannot spend money on paper.
Mr. Mayor, that's it, though.
Right.
Just for clarification on the difference between the miscellaneous and the discretionary, what is the difference on those two?
Yes, ma'am. Miscellaneous and discretionary. I actually did some research into this, and actually our charter doesn't use the term discretionary. If you look into the charter, it actually says allowance. I guess discretionary is a term that this council may be discussing, you all came up with, but the charter states allowance.
Okay, what is the difference between an allowance and miscellaneous?
Very good question. The allowance is assigned to individuals. Miscellaneous is assigned to a department. Very good question.
So who directs how miscellaneous funds are spent in, say, the city council department?
So all direction comes from this spending plan, which means that as the council approves this plan, the city manager is responsible for the budget. If someone decides to make an expenditure within that section, then I would approve that expenditure, and it cannot exceed. So, for example, I think I know where you're going. Let's go here. Let's go to one of our departments.
Like, what would be a miscellaneous expense?
Oh my gosh!
Like an example?
If we were to look at, and I don't want to say office of the mayor, but that may even be a good one. Let's just say the mayor wants to do a state of the city.
Would that not be under events, or?
It could, but let's say if events, we decided we have food trucks and we get involved with Taste of Mableton, who knows? So another cost is really and I would debate anybody that calls it another name. In any budget, you can't accurately predict every expense. It's best to have somewhat of a cushion for things you don't anticipate, unexpected. We also call this in budgeting contingencies. Even when we do construction contracts, they have a contingency. We didn't set a contingency in our budget this year, but there could be things that come up that we didn't anticipate, land purchases or another opportunity to do something that did not expect. So other costs and miscellaneous is one of those areas that's not specifically categorized in the state chart of accounts, but gives you, the state chart of accounts allows it because it knows that there may be some expenses that could come up that don't fit into every category, that doesn't fit into things you didn't foresee. But I know that we had, last year, we had our Mableton anniversary went into other purchases. This is hard to predict with other. That's why it's so vague. It's not specific. It wouldn't be. It would if it didn't fit in training. It didn't fit in dues. It didn't fit in conventions. It could be something that comes up. So here in human resources, let's say that we want to do background checks or recruitment. Right now here in human resources, I don't necessarily have in that budget anything that specifically says recruitment or anything that specifically says hiring process, onboarding. If we wanted to do a welcome package or onboarding or some type of having to do backgrounds, then obviously right there in HR, it would be picked up other costs. So it's so broad, I can't necessarily nail specifics, but it exists to give you that flexibility in your budget. But the clear definition to your question is that it's assigned to the department, and whereas the allowance, or what you all call discretionary, is assigned to the individual.
So I have a quick question. So allowance and discretionary is synonymous. So that's $5,000 per person?
No.
For the charter allowed a $3,000 allowance for each council member and a $5,000 allowance for the mayor.
But it says discretionary spending $5,000.
That's
For the mayor.
For the mayor. Let me make sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. I see it.
Mr. Manager, I have a question as it relates to the salaries. I know the goal here is to adequately budget enough money for salaries, but the items that are budgeted for salaries isn't necessarily the actual amount that any given employee will get. I think you had said in the last meeting you based that off the max salary that was approved in our spending play plan. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor. I think we had one of our public hearing comments said that they complimented us being very conservative. One conservative approach to projecting budgets is to kind of understate your revenues, overstate your expenses. And there's a saying we have in budget world, it's better to over budget than to be over budget. And the way you do that is you don't fluff up your revenues, but you do fluff up your expenses. And so our pay range approved by mayor and council has a pay range. I know that we had one citizen ask about the executive assistant salary, 83. That's a pay range, which means we could go all the way up to that amount per year. But that, what we have in the budget, we took all of the salaries, I think 85% of the salary top line, and in some cases 100%, and that's what we have in the budget. And that would show for salaries, if we had all employees hired, top of the pay range, top line of benefits, that's what we projected. That is not what really happens. Typically, we're in the mid-range, depending on experience, degrees, credentials, certificates, and most people don't pick the certain plan. So, yes, sir, you will see the salary in the spending plan it is, I won't say inflated, but it is the top of the line, but our employees don't make at the top of their pay range.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Anyone else? Councilwoman?
Yeah, since we're already asking questions, having discussion about this, can we answer a couple of the questions for our citizens who came up to speak? Can we start?
Are you asking me, Ms. Auk, are you asking me in the council to explain to you what are our contracted services for and why do we have a lot of, I'll be glad to answer that question. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So traditionally, and I won't say traditional, Mableton really should get a star on a report card. I won't go into political reasons, but most all new cities get a transition team appointed by the governor. This city did not. If you study the history of new cities, the way they are formed is you go out and you find companies, they call them city in a box. You contract out companies, I won't name these companies, there are a lot of them. They'll come in, set up your city, run your city for a contracted rate, and then you get what's left over. So that's the typical way. I'm impressed with you all. You decided to buck the system and try to run the city with a council staff. Okay, applause. And when I came in as city manager, I realized we had certain goals that it would be better suited for us to do a hybrid. We needed to get some things going very quickly. Our finances need to be up to par. We needed some help with hiring. So those contracted services, specifically, like in community development, we couldn't do a comprehensive plan on our own. We're not equipped or staffed to do that. So we contract that out to a company, a firm, to do our comprehensive plan, which is required by the Department of Community Affairs. It's a requirement. In the case where we've gotten help with HR, and we've gotten help with finance, this spending plan, we didn't have the financial capacity staff-wise to produce this. So the contracted services are normally heavy in your first few years until you start building up staff, and you should see that contracted services number go down, and then payroll goes up. Our payroll right now is relatively low because we don't have a lot of staff. But as payroll goes up, more staff, the contracted services go down. So I think one of the questions, Ms. Auk, was why do we have a lot of contracted services? That's because we are in transition, and some of these things are required to make us fulfill our transition within the time frame allotted.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I would also add to that is that we did have contingency funds in our previous spending plan, contingency funds and professional services funds that were set aside that we have been able to utilize to help. I'll also add that the comp plan, a portion of that was in the previous spending plan, but only a portion because we knew that would just take us up to this year. But we have realistically committed to spending that money in the spending plan because we have to. It's a DCA requirement. It's a state requirement that we have a spending plan. And if memory serves me correctly, that was somewhere around $500,000 for that comp plan. The way that structure is, that gets paid based on milestone basis, so we're not shelling out $500,000 at a time. But those funds have to be spent. And most of them, if maybe all of it, none of it was recognized in last year's plan. So all of that comp plan fund that we had accounted for last year actually will want your spending plan. So that will take those costs up a bit this year.
And Ms. Auk had a second question. She wanted to know about the $83,200 salary for executive assistant. I think, did you ask me that, Ms. Auk?
Oh, yes, you did.
I think you answered that.
Did I answer that question?
You answered that.
Well, I'll be glad to answer it again, Ms. Auk. The reason you see $83,000 on there for executive assistant, because that is the top of our pay range. It is not necessarily what we pay an executive assistant. We made sure that when we stated salaries and paid the overstate your expenses, that's a conservative approach to budgeting. So whenever someone looks in here and they see salaries, they're going to see the very top maxed out salary for all staff. It doesn't mean that's what we're actually paying. This is kind of how you create a little bit of a savings and a fund balance. Unless we get full staff and everybody's at the top, we will not hit that number. So that's just a reflection of the top of the pay range, and it's just a budgeting method where you overstate your expenses and you understate your revenues.
City Manager, are you planning to hire an executive assistant for each council member?
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. That's a great question. That is, no, there will not be. I did not propose in the spending plan, council, for each of you all to get an executive assistant. We are going to be wise. You have one executive assistant for all 6 of you all, and I think they're doing a relatively good job. But no, sir, not one for every council member.
Okay.
If the council wants that,
no, that's
I
not
work at the pleasure of the council.
And I also want to state that was by resolution early on within our city when we had our 2 executive assistants approved. That was approved appointed by the mayor and approved by the council, and that is at the mayor's discretion, I suppose, the hiring. So no, it's not a plan to give us all executive assistants. Okay. I think that was all the questions we got in the public hearing.
I want to make a comment as it relates to that. We are not setting any salaries in the spending plan. Salaries are set by a separate resolution that is in our pay pay plan that was approved prior to the spending plan being put together. So while they are intertwined, they technically are two separate things. So I just want to make sure that everyone's clear about that. We're not setting any salaries in the spending plan. That has been done. Any changes to salaries have to be done going back through the spending plan, pay schedule, and modification of that resolution. So.
In fact, the only salaries that are accurate in here are ours.
I guess you're right.
Yeah, I couldn't overstate that.
I'd like to make a motion.
Correct. Yeah, that is defined by the charter, the salary for the mayor and council. Council, any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the FY25 spending plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the FY 2025 spending plan effective October 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Motion's been made and duly seconded. Do we have any final comment concerning the spending plan? Any discussion?
Well, actually, I wanted to mention something.
So we need to listen to the motion again, because she said until June 30th, 2024.
2025. But I know also with amendment to changing miscellaneous costs to contingency expenses, just a category change. Do we have a second?
I do want to state one thing for clarification. If we have what we call a contingency fund, and let's say most times they are undesignated. For example, this council can say we're going to put up $250,000 in a contingency fund, and it's undesignated, which would mean I couldn't spend it. Something pops up that we didn't foresee, the council would come back and say, we're voting to allocate and now designate this undesignated contingency fund. Let's say y'all found some land you wanted to purchase, and we found something, just a gold mine, and you decided you wanted to purchase that. So contingency is really tied to you're expecting some overruns or something that is not necessarily allocated. Miscellaneous as others is a bona fide state chart of accounts. Other purchases are definitely.
When you explained it, you said it was for contingency in case there's any other cost.
Yeah,
this would be designated because it is in each.
Yes, ma'am. So if it's in this budget, and I did say like a contingency, and if I misstate that, I apologize. But if it's in the operational budget, I wouldn't have to come back and ask you all how to spend it. See, whereas on a bona fide contingency, I would have to come back and ask you to spend it. So even if you change the name in there, it's still now approved. The city manager has the authority then to spend that money within that line. I just want to make sure clear. I don't want to make sure that, I don't mislead it. Hey, since you changed the name, it now has a different function. It won't.
And also, I think we want to keep everything uniform, because I know the other departments have it listed as miscellaneous, and if we change one to contingency, then we fall into that conversation we had the last time about category names and different meanings.
See, the way it's currently defined, my concern is that this miscellaneous expenses is just a workaround to adding to a discretionary fund of the mayor and council. I'm not even really concerned with the other miscellaneous expenses in the other departments, but the charter had set a cap at, it didn't even define it. It just said working or actual expenses occurred by the council and mayor to perform their duties, which is essentially what miscellaneous is, but we all have a separate discretionary fund already set for that. So by having a miscellaneous and the discretionary, it feels like it's just extending what we're not supposed to be doing.
So I think the city manager's already made a point that discretionary, as we call it, which is the allowance is for us as individuals, whereas the miscellaneous is to the department.
Right, so can we not change the name to just contingency to that department? Isn't that essentially what the function of this expense would be?
I think the manager's made a recommendation not to do that.
I've made a motion to do that.
No, that was not your motion, actually. Your motion did not include that. So we're having discussion on your motion.
I'm amending my
Please.
motion.
The motion is up for discussion.
My motion.
I was just going to say, if there's a way to clarify, because I think it seems as though the argument is that it's just kind of like a free-for-all fund for people to go in and spend, and I guess because I can't think of an instance where the council, I'll just focus on the council, would need those funds for something. And I guess maybe it would be helpful. I mean, would we use those funds for, say, if it's a council? No, we can't even all meet together to. So, like, what would?
Let's say you decide to have 4 town halls next year, each council member, and you actually defined. You actually confirmed the reason to call it other because you couldn't think of it, and none of us can. That's why they call it other purchases, because if we could clearly project or predict every expense you all are going to make, we could do that. No one in budgeting can do that. I understand the concern. Let's just call it what it is. I understand the concern to make sure that someone doesn't do something inappropriate or whatever. I can't, in my role as a city manager, that's not the attitude or perspective I got to take towards budgeting. To Ms. Oladapo's point, the way a budgeting section works up, each one of these line items has a number, a department number, and then a category number. And so when you have other purchases, and I total what other purchases are, let's say I want to find out what are other purchases for the total year. It's going to pull from every department their total other purchases. If I start changing one to contingency and others, then now I got to pull out, in the software itself, the way it's set up does not give itself to that. So I think if I'm understanding you all correctly, you just want to make sure that no one makes their other purchases their allowance. And that is something that, at my level, if it is very vague on what an allowance is to me anyway. It is very vague. So I can't sit here and honestly tell you that changing a name in a department of budget is going to alleviate any concerns. We have to just operate and just really, you're going to get monthly reports. I can tell you what things are spent on, and you can question things as we spend it, but from a projected standpoint, you can't stop. It's hard for me to explain this. There's no action you can take or do to stop somebody from doing something until they, unless you see it being done, then you say you can't do that.
City manager, okay. I can't go into our bank account and spend $15,000 on my own. It's got to come through your office or through the finances office, and I can't just go in there and pick out $15,000. So I understand the buckets. I get that. I understand the naming of the buckets, but at the end of the day, I can't do anything without staff approving it, making it happen.
I guess there would only be one office that could.
Say again?
I want to raise a point of order. The motion that Councilwoman made was an inaccurate motion. The motion was made to approve the spending plan from October 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2024. As a point of order, that is an inaccurate motion that has been made, so I'd like to consider an additional motion at this time.
I would like to make a motion to approve the 2025 spending plan.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Go ahead.
Sir.
Go ahead.
I would like, with an amendment to change miscellaneous to contingency.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'm sorry, I'm not clear on the motion because you want to contingency
I
just
want to
for
change the
city
name.
council?
I just want to change the name of miscellaneous to contingency. So it's very clear when we get a report, it doesn't just say other, it's what was it for? It was a contingency. We can look at what went over. Why was that utilized instead of it being this very vague miscellaneous other bucket.
So you want it just for the city council section?
It could go for all of them, honestly. I mean, that's what it's operating as, right, is a contingency. If we go over budget on other items, we don't have the funding for it, it doesn't fall in the other brackets, then it's a contingency, right?
I'm not sure that's what it is.
What would we- Just for the council and for the city manager, or mayor's office then?
I mean, for the record, I mean, you know, it says miscellaneous expenses, and I think we need to trust the fact that we're good stewards and we're going to be fiscally responsible. There are going to be audits that are going to be conducted. And so, I mean, I think at this point, it's tomato. It says miscellaneous, and for the record, I would say allow it to stand in all of the departments. And so, can I make a motion?
Ms. Councilwoman Ock has a motion on the table that has not been seconded.
As far as saying we would have an audit, we were supposed to have an audit in June, and that didn't happen.
You know, hold on. I do want to address that, but right now we have a motion on the table that has not been seconded. Is there a second to the motion that Councilwoman Ock has made? Hearing no second to that, I will pull her motion and entertain a second motion on this business.
I'd like to make a motion consideration and approval of FY 2025 spending plan from October 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the spending plan approving the 2025 spending plan from October 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it. So I do want to, I'll take a moment before we go to item B to allow the city manager to address the comment that was made by the councilwoman about the lack of an audit that was supposed to take place.
First, I want to say that this projected spending plan language is really projected. So I'm looking at our current software. There, it doesn't say miscellaneous, it says other purchase services. So what we have in this projected budget is not from our software. Our software is right now currently QuickBooks, and we're going to get BSA. And so you will find those titles. I wanted to make sure, because I had to be careful to tell you something that is not practical if it was a software. Like, for example, we have account number 52-523-900 is other purchase services is what we have in our current software. And I'm looking now, and I think I also, I sent you an August report. Let me double check.
Would the discretionary funding be categorized as in our current software?
It's in the charter.
No, what's in the current software?
Mr. Manager, the question that's on the table is related to the audit.
Audit? I'm sorry.
To an audit that was supposed to have taken place this year. The Councilman Alt said did not.
We're not eligible for an audit. We don't have financial records. Auditors will audit an entire year of financial reports. We don't have a year of financial reports. So I hate to say this, I have a master's in accounting. I'm very confident on this point. You don't get audited until you do a year of financial statements. And we don't have that. I don't know who would audit us right now. What we do have is Roush, a contracted services, an internal auditor that has been checking our expenses, looking at our risk, and looking at every transaction they can. I mean, they literally went and checked everything in our bank statements, and they have stated that they found no malfeasance or issues. We had to do some reclasses. That is what we need to do, reclasses, but that's not considered an audit. That's called an internal audit. So that has occurred, that is occurring. We have someone looking at our system, but when you talk about an external audit, that is a formal process where a third-party firm comes in, looks at your financial statements, and makes sure that you are meeting what we call generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP, or for a government, we use a General Accounting Standards Board, making sure that we are in compliance with state charter. So I don't know who told y'all you were going to have an audit. They may have misinformed you. Now, and I hate to say that, but we're not eligible for an audit.
So due to us being in transition period, there's no requirement for an audit, but you did have Roush that was consulting with us to go through and perform some sort of an assessment. I don't know if we're going to call it an audit, but some sort of assessment.
It's internal. So there's an internal audit and external audit. Yes, sir. They have done what we call internal audits. They are continuing to do an internal audit, making sure all our systems have prevention for fraud. There's no double billing. They have that role, and this was all done because we need to be prepared for a formal audit. And we are preparing as if we're going to have a formal audit when we get 1 year of financial. Once our adopted budget occurs next year, the year after that, 2026, we will, by law, have to have an audit, an external audit.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. With that said, I'd like to go ahead and move to new business 12B, which is the second read of the ordinance for adoption of the City of Mableton, Georgia Municipal Employee Benefits System retirement plan. This is something that our clerk has worked diligently over this entire year, as a matter of fact, to put in place the retirement plan system. We've had representatives from GMA actually come and present a couple of times, and so I don't know that anything has changed from the past time. And so with that being said, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt the agreement for the City of Mableton, Georgia Municipal Employee Benefit System Retirement Plan. It's a mouthful.
I make a motion to adopt the agreement for the City of Mableton, Georgia Municipal Employees Benefit System Retirement Plan.
I second.
Thank you. It's been seconded. All those in favor of approving the City of Mableton, Georgia Municipal Employee Benefit System Retirement Plan, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing no nays, the ayes have it. Item 12C is related to this. It is the adoption for the agreement of the Georgia Municipal Association 457B Deferred Compensation Plan. It's followed the same plan and strategy as the previous item, where we work with GMA to ensure that this deferred compensation plan is put in place. We've also had representatives from GMA to come to talk about this as well. With that being said, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt the agreement to Georgia Municipal Association 457B Deferred Compensation Plan.
Motion to adopt the agreement for the Georgia Municipal Association 457B Deferred Compensation Plan.
Thank you for that. Before I call the question, City Manager, you had a comment?
Yes, sir. I do want to state, so that no one is misled, this is optional for employees to participate in this 457 plan. We do not want to mislead, because this council has been very generous at a defined pension at a multiple of 2. If an employee wants to participate, they can contribute to this 457. We have not established a match, and you are not required to participate in it. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Thank you, sir. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor of adopting the agreement for the Georgia Municipal Association 457B Deferred Compensation Plan, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. The last item of new business is the consideration and approval of the resolution establishing a city holiday schedule for 2025 and for other lawful purposes. This is something I think you all have seen in the past. I know it was shared with everyone. I think the only one notable change to that was that there was Good Friday was removed as a specific holiday. It's observable, but it was moved to a floating holiday for staff. So with that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the resolution establishing a city holiday for 2025 and for other lawful purposes.
I make a motion that we approve the approval of the resolution establishing a city holiday schedule for 2025 and for other lawful purposes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any question, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution establishing a city holiday schedule for 2025 and other lawful purposes, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it. Thank you. Item 13 is other business discussion, which we have none for tonight. This takes us to the city manager's announcements or comments.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's 8:04. Okay. I want to say good job to our acting city clerk, Ms. Allison Benson. I can tell you she's been on pins and needles all day. She set this thing up probably around 1:30 this afternoon. So good job, Allison. It's good to have employees that can fill in and cover when someone else is out. We also want to wish speedy recovery to Susan and Lily. They are sorely missed. They're very valuable team members. They've been here with you all from the beginning, and I want the council to know we are starting a hiring spree. We're bringing on staff. We interviewed a community development director last week. We're going to get him to the second panel interview next week, and we should hopefully have a recommendation to the mayor for nomination by our next council meeting. And we're going to continue to hire. We got 3 other hires coming up, a special projects manager. We want to get a community development clerk to take some stress off of our sole business license person, and an HR specialist to help us with fast-paced, this continual process where we're about to do a hiring spree. So, but we're glad we got Allison here, because if Susan and Lily would have been out, I would have been in trouble. So, also want to say that our mayor is competitive. There was, I sit on the board for Cobb Works, and Mick suckered him into getting on the spelling bee. Are you smarter than a 5th grader team? And I'm about to embarrass the mayor from what they had a question. The question was, what's between protons and electrons? And I knew it was neutrons, and they said neurons. And I said, neurons, that's nerves. So I left.
Finish the story, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Finish the story.
I left because I thought they were done, but I was told this morning at a board meeting that the mayor took it personal. They came back with a roaring win, and they came in first place. So
that's right.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
That is right. Doesn't matter how you start off, that's how you finish.
That's my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, thank you. Ms. Benson, do you have anything?
No comments.
All right. Madam Attorney.
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Davis?
Yes. Thank you. The Be Bold Institute will be holding its 3rd annual Be Bold Empowerment Conferences and Awards ceremony on October 5th at Hilton Garden Inn in Atlanta, Lithia Springs rather, at 110 Interstate West Parkway in Lithia Springs. Always been a good, I've attended all 2, and this 3rd one, but it's been great to see how that institute kind of really encourages entrepreneurship and those kinds of things to our young people. So I wouldn't miss it. It's great. So, and other than that, everybody be careful out there, since we have this hurricane coming this way, all the rain. Be safe out there, because we've got a lot coming. And that's all I have. Have a great night.
Thank you. Councilwoman Oladapo.
Yes, I just have a quick comment. I know a few weeks ago I announced that I was going to host a social brunch for the seniors in District 2, just to get to know everyone, socialize, and discuss how to access the District 2 Elderly Enrichment Funds, which is a fund that was created from a pledge that I made during my campaign of donating my first year's salary to programs that benefits our seniors and youth. And that event finally happened, so I wanted to share some fun photos. We had a great time. We had a very good turnout, great food. But most importantly, I wanted to share details for those who were not able to make it, in case you know a senior in District 2 who needs assistance for light healthcare needs, such as prescriptions, home care, lawn care, pressure washing, utilities assistance, and light legal assistance like will creation. Please reach out to me. We're partnering with Pure Hope Inc. of Pure Hope Church on Mableton Parkway, so the seniors can also stop by and fill out a form to access the funds if they need to. A big thank you to everyone who volunteered to make this happen. I see Mr. and Mrs. Washington. Thank you so much for spoiling our seniors with gifts during the events, and thank you to Ms. Wilson for catering all this beautiful, beautiful food. Thank you, thank you. Well, that's all I have. I hope you all stay safe during this storm, and thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Cook.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. So on Friday, last Friday, September 20th, I had the distinct pleasure of hosting a group of special needs students from Pebblebrook High School, which is in my district, District 3, at our interim right here in the epicenter. Their visit was part of a field trip that was designed to foster their understanding about leadership, local and civic government, and the responsibilities of the mayor and the city council. And during their visit, I talked about the importance of teamwork, how every person, regardless of their ability, has a unique role in helping to shape and improve our community. To bring the concept to life, I actually organized an interactive activity for the students called Build a City, and the students used their Legos, construction papers, and their imaginations to see to design a city that reflected the vision of a better Mableton. It was great, really great to see their creativity and their passion, and many of their ideas were sitting around creating a space in our city that's more accessible, where all residents, regardless of their physical or communication challenges, could fully be engaged and be a part of our community. And then after the activity, they had a chance to visit our workspace upstairs. We had one student that was really interested in film. There was a movie being filmed here, and so she was so intrigued she wouldn't even get out of the director's chair. So she was really excited. But I want to thank Pebblebrook High School teaching staff for initiating the field trip and recognizing the value of just connecting students with local government, and just also providing them with enriching experiences. So just thank you all for organizing it, and a special thank you also goes out to Allison, our executive assistant, Rock, who is a part of the engineering team for the Epicenter, and Council Mom for their hard work ensuring everything went smoothly, especially in such a short notice. So thank you guys. And then lastly, I also want to say that the students some of them were in wheelchairs, some of them were nonverbal, but they were an absolute joy to host. I was truly honored to spend the day with them, and I left feeling more motivated that whenever we get our comp plan in place, that we create a more inclusive and accessible city for them. So on Saturday, the mayor, myself, and a few council members, Councilman Davis, as well as Councilman Ferguson and Councilwoman Auk, had an opportunity to go attend the Girl Scout Centennial Celebration. It was their birthday celebration at Camp Timber Ridge, which is located right here in Mableton, Georgia, for those that don't know. It's a beautiful 222-acre greenland. The mayor gave a proclamation, and Ja Farrell, who is the new CEO, I think she's been at the Girl Scouts since July, spoke, as well as the board member and staff. It was great to see all the family and young girls come out to celebrate. And when I think about the Girl Scouts, it's always nostalgic for me because I was an active Girl Scout for many years. My mom was the director, so I was really involved in so many activities. I can't tell you how many times I camped out, scraped my knees, earned badges, and sold cookies. But it was through my first experiences learning about teamwork, learning about leadership, leadership and community service. And as a Girl Scout, you quickly learn what it means to be a part of something greater than yourself. So it's vital and important for us to always give back. So I want to take the opportunity now to thank Ja Farrell, the newest CEO, as well as her staff for inviting us and for inspiring young girls to explore, to dream big, and to take on new challenges. And I hope that her leadership will help to shape our next generation of strong, confident women who will make a positive impact in our community. I also want to thank her board member who gave me an official Girl Scout board member badge. I was so proud of it. I look forward to what the future holds for the Girl Scouts of Greater Atlanta as they continue to empower young girls for another century. So you guys, can you believe it's fall already? We're in the 4th day of the fall season, and that means fall is here and the fair is here. So the North Georgia State Fair is here from September 19th to the 29th. There are a few more days left if you want to get your corn dogs, your funnel cakes, your candy apples, your turkey legs. I like to eat all the good fair food, but it's not just about the food. You can go take your family, your kids out, enjoy the rides and games, live entertainment, the agriculture exhibits. I like the pig race. If the weather permits, take your family out to see the fair and go to the fair. I do want to remind everyone to be mindful of your health. As the mayor and our city manager mentioned, we have staff that's out, they're sick, and with the change of the season, it's common for us to experience, seasonal illnesses. So just make sure you're taking the necessary precautions, like washing your hands regularly to prevent spread of germs, making sure you're eating a balanced meal, staying active and hydrated, getting some rest. It's just important that you take care of yourself, and if you're not feeling well, don't hesitate to take the time you need to recover and consider taking things to increase your immunity to stay ahead of the season and also to avoid getting sick. And if you don't know, this month is Suicide Awareness Month. So just as it's important to focus on your physical health, it's equally as important to focus on your mental health and emotional well-being. If you're struggling, make sure you reach out to someone around you. If you're feeling overwhelmed and need the support, don't hesitate to reach out. And I think it's very important for us to normalize and prioritize mental health. Remember, self-care is not being selfish, it's essential. So let's just make sure we're taking care of each other. 2 more things. Don't forget to vote. September 17th was National Voter Registration Day, and you have until Monday, October 7th to vote. October 15th, early voting begins, so you can go to mvp.sos.ga.gov, and then remember Election Day is November 5th. And then lastly, I do want to mention that we have had a change of leadership in the Mableton Improvement Coalition. President Ray Thomas has submitted his resignation for health reasons, and Nate Smith has also stepped down as chairman. I do want to thank them for their dedication and commitment to the city of Mableton, and then congratulate the new leadership. Joel Cobb is now serving as president, and Elizabeth Akers as the new chairwoman. Congratulations to the new leadership, and we look forward to partnering with you in the future. And then, as everyone has said, stay safe in the inclement weather.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry. I know I was long-winded.
Hey. Councilwoman Alt.
No comments tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ferguson?
What Councilman Jeffcoat said.
Oh, he wanted to talk about
I'm sorry.
The Girl Scouts was awesome. Love what they're doing over there. But I will tell you, October 19th, Floyd Middle School is going to host its largest family engagement event of the year. It's the annual Fall Festival. This event is a highlight of their school year, bringing together students, families, and staff for a day filled with fun, community spirit, and celebration. Here's where you come in. To make this year's Fall Festival a resounding success, we are seeking to raise $5,000. They are also in need of gift card donations to recognize and reward the hard work and dedication of their staff and students. Specifically, they're looking to provide gift cards for their staff of the month, $50 gift card, and the student of the month, a $10 to $20 gift card. I know that I'm going to support this school because every time I go over there, I have a blast. The teachers really, really enjoy being there. The students really, really enjoyed working with the teachers, and it just seems like a great environment. So I'm definitely going to support this effort. So I welcome you. Be a partner with me in education and support this wonderful, wonderful situation of the annual Fall Festival. With that, I'm going to say travel safe, stay safe. You know that if you have a tree down, you know who to call now. So stay safe over the next couple of days, and I look forward to seeing you again.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, good evening, everyone. Safe travels home today in this inclement weather. I just have one quick thing to say. For those of you who have not updated your ID, May 7th, 2025 is the deadline to convert your regular ID to a real ID. And you know you have a real ID if there's a star in the upper right-hand corner of your ID. Otherwise, they're cracking down on domestic travel. They want you to have this ID going forward. Now, I do understand there is a little flexibility because they understand that everyone might not necessarily have it, but it probably would be a good idea if you don't have that ID to go ahead and upgrade it by May 7th, 2025. Thank you for coming out. Safe travels home.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So I want to start off by mentioning about the 2024 Faith in Blue Unity Walk. That's the Mableton Pastors Collective is having that on October 5th at 9:30 by Faith Christian. If you have an opportunity to join them, to come out, partnering with the Cobb County Police, Cobb County Sheriff's Department. I think they did this last year as well. I think it was a really good event. Please come out, join Pastor Smith if you can for that. And I want to take a second here too to say for everyone that's talking about all these great events, I hope they're on the Mableton community calendar, because that is what we're utilizing to be able to communicate with the community about what events are going on, so the community can know what events are happening, and organizers can use that as a place to help promote all the great things that are going on within the city of Mableton. I had the opportunity to speak on a panel actually at the Metro Atlanta Mayors Association last week, and it happened to be at Google. So as you all probably know, we've standardized on Google as part of our infrastructure here in the city, and one of the reasons we did so early on is because I had some early conversations and was sure that Google would be a great partner with the city as we grew. So I took the opportunity while I was there to talk about one challenge that we have, which is the city boundaries, as simple as this may sound, are incorrect in Google. And if you have any idea how many other systems use the city boundary map that Google produces, it causes a lot of problems from everyday residents as well as other businesses. So I got a commitment from Google that we will get that map updated in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to follow back up with the team because I think that will be a tremendous boost and help to everyone that goes and searches as anything relates to the city of Mableton. So I'm excited to actually make that big step forward. Another item I want to bring up was a meeting that I had with the postmaster here, and I've actually been trying to get back on his calendar to sync because there's still some items that we need to sort out with the city of Mableton and our post office. I'm actually overdue for a press release to get out to talk about that, largely because I have not been able to have a second meeting with him. But what I will tell you out of that is there is absolutely zero plans for the Mableton post office to close. Zero plans for the post office to close. The rest is forthcoming, but I did want to make sure that I let everyone know that. A couple other things as it relates to our schools. While our Mayor Pro Tem was here with our Pebblebrook students, I was actually visiting the South Cobb High School that same morning with the South Cobb Partners in Education breakfast. That was something that Principal T.J. Perry is doing at South Cobb High School to really try to bring business in along with educators and some of the residents to talk about all the great things that are going on at South Cobb High School. And let me tell you, he did not disappoint. As I was literally sitting there watching his presentation, I leaned over to our school board member, Trey Hutchins. I said, I need that slide. Right? I need that slide. And the reason I said that is that it's great, the fantastic things that are happening at our schools, but we have to actually make sure that that word is getting out. Right? Councilman Ferguson talked about Floyd glowingly. Our Mayor Pro Tem talked about Pebblebrook, and now here I'm talking about South Cobb High School. There are some really exciting and good things going on at our schools, regardless what people may say or what the ratings may show. We will continue to work on that and to highlight that and do the things that are necessary that we can do as a city to help in that. The mention was brought up about elections that are coming up, and they definitely are. I want to highlight the fact that there is an MSPLOS that's coming up, the mobile special use options tax that is coming up. I'm not here to tell you how to vote on that, but I want to make sure that you are educated. We had Drew Ressler, the Cobb DOT chair, speak to us a couple of months back about this, and I would encourage you all to reach out to him, reach out to someone at the county, and find out more. Make sure you're educated about it. The last thing we want to have is people going and voting on something that they're not absolutely sure on what that encompasses. I'm not going to take time now to talk about what that is, but please reach out to Cobb DOT if you have questions about what that referendum entails. The last thing I want to bring up is the cohort that I'm a part of right now with the Atlanta Regional Commission. It's called the Local Leaders Housing Affordability Committee. I'm one of just a few mayors across the metro area that's part of that Local Leaders Affordable Housing cohort. And in that, we're talking about many of the challenges and issues that you guys are seeing, many of the things that are being talked about in the news. And what I can tell you with that is housing and affordable housing is a crisis. And it's not only a crisis on Riverside Drive. It's not just a crisis in Mableton. It's not just a crisis in Metro Atlanta. It's a crisis across the country. And we have to play our part. There's a role that we have in ensuring that we meet this housing crisis head on. There's obviously a situation where we are right now as being a new city where we're not even in control of our own zoning and code enforcement at this time. That's changing. I think our city manager continues to talk about the efforts that are going on to transition our services. We've had a multitude of meetings this week specifically to talk about transitioning of services so we can put ourselves in a position where we are responsible for our zoning, our land use, and our code enforcement. I've mentioned before, when that day comes, we will be prepared. We will have a plan in place to be able to address this issue, again, that's gripping the entire nation. I can tell you that the time I'm spending with ARC and the Local Leaders Housing cohort is helping a lot. It's broadening my aperture to this issue. What it's also doing too is introducing myself and by proxy the city to a lot of resources throughout the Metro Atlanta and a lot of good organizations that's been dealing with these challenges for a while. We see that Mayor Dickens in Atlanta has taken a head-on approach to this housing crisis in many ways, in a lot of ways that we're not going to be able to tackle, but as a city of 80,000 people, as a council, I think that is committed to dealing with this challenge. We will face it. We will provide solutions. I do not believe there's a silver bullet to this housing crisis. If so, it would have been solved by now. But we will do our part. This is not something that we're going to shy away from. I am the proud father of two kids that are 12 and 13. I'm a single father, as a matter of fact. I love my kids. We all talk about how we volunteer in the community. It's tragic in a lot of ways to see what's going on, what's happening. And this did not happen overnight. It won't get solved overnight. It won't get solved solely by the people sitting on this dais. We will need people in the community to help. We will need nonprofit partners to step up and help. We will need public-private partnership to step up and help. There will be revitalization in certain parts of the city. And I'll end with this. This challenge is going to be about equity and ensuring that we take a view of equity in this, which is different than equality. It's different than diversity. It's looking at where the needs are, what created those specific needs, and how we face them and solve them. So I can simply sit here and tell you that, while I read the articles as well, and I know there's lots of things that are being said out there, the city of Mableton will be prepared to take on the challenges. We are preparing ourselves now for when that day comes. And I think with myself and a dedicated council and a committed staff, we will rise to the occasion. So with that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll entertain a motion to take us into executive session for real estate, personnel, and litigation.
Motion to go into executive session for real estate, personnel, and litigation.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and duly seconded. All those in favor of going into executive session for litigation, real estate, and personnel, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. We will now go into executive session. Thank you all for coming. Again, please be safe tonight getting home and over these next several days. Thank you all. All right, thank you. I appreciate everybody for waiting while we're in executive session. I'd like to entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn executive session.
Thank you.
A second.
Thank you. His motion has been made and duly seconded. All those in favor of adjourning executive session, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Great, thank you. I do appreciate it. Going back into our regular agenda, I do believe we have one motion that has business in front of us.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll entertain that motion now.
Yes, I motion that we give the mayor the authority to extend and/or terminate all current existing city property purchase and sale agreements.
I'll
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor that allows the mayor to have the authority to extend and/or terminate all current existing city property purchase and sale agreements, please say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it. Thank you. I do not believe there's any other business in front of us this evening. With that being, Mr. Manager.
I will, my birthday's Monday, I'll be out of town Saturday, Sunday.
Happy birthday!
I will still be accessible, but if you need me physically, I'll be calling on Allison, acting city manager.
Wonderful.
But Saturday, Sunday, I'm out of town. I just want the council to know, but I carry my phone everywhere I go, but physically, I won't be here.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. One other note, as it relates to community events, I wanted to make note is Mableton City event, which is on October 4th, is our second Food Truck Friday at the Mableton Town Square, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Again, it is the City of Mableton Food Truck Friday. Please make sure you come out and enjoy us and have a great time. With that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Being made and duly seconded. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good night. Safe travels. Safe trip.